Good morning, my name is Madison Elliott here for LTV News, and today we have the honor of sitting down with President of LaSalle University, Dr. Colleen Hanycz. So Dr. Hanycz, thank you so much for being with us this morning.
It's a pleasure, Madison. I'm delighted to be here. Thank you for having me.
So things that must have been very crazy for you in these past couple of months. You just got through your first full semester at LaSalle.
Yep.
How was it?
Oh, it was great. We moved in early July. I started, so we came in late June, and it has been a whirlwind here on campus, but delighted to be here. And I've gotten to see so many of our students in action and our faculty in action. It's been tremendous, really great.
And have you gotten to explore Philadelphia a little bit at all? Have you gotten a cheesesteak?
We did. We have certainly tried the cheesesteak. That was terrific. The kids especially love them. So we've done some exploring. I think we will have more time next summer with, once I have my arms around this a little bit better here, have a little more time to go around. But even over Christmas, we were down in Center City quite a bit. We, for the first time ever, we're in the South Market, so the Italian market. Just wonderful, wonderful people. We have been so warmly welcomed. In the summer, we had the opportunity for work to go to the shore and to meet with some alumni, and so took that chance to look around. It's just a wonderful community in Philly and right in this region. Love it.
That's wonderful. Yeah. It is, like, how is it? Do you think it's different from being back home in Canada? I mean, you lived there your whole life, and now you're
It's a pretty big change. Quite an adventure for us as a family, for sure. But the community piece is very similar. So I was on a university campus there where everyone knew each other, and even though it was smaller than LaSalle, coming here, I'm finding a lot of the same warmth, a lot of the same familiarity, and the fact that people really care how each other is doing, whether it's our students or our staff or our faculty. There's a great amount of community feeling here, and so that part is very familiar to me.
That's awesome. And you coming to LaSalle, how do you like LaSalle so far? How is it? You said it's
been
very
great.
Similar community.
Yeah, a big change. I was at a women's institution, of course. I was at the only women's college in Canada, so that piece is certainly a shift, but it's a Catholic school in the same way that LaSalle is Catholic, very similar values. So for me, that transition has been seamless. What we do at LaSalle, we're a larger institution for sure, but again, what happens in the classroom is so strong, and the opportunities that we give our students both in the classroom and outside, it really has been a wonderful opportunity for me to see this institution in action, really.
And how does it feel to be the first layperson and first woman in the 152-year history of LaSalle University?
Well, I think it's an adjustment for the community. It's less of an adjustment for me, of course, not having been here prior to taking up this role, but certainly it is mentioned to me very, very commonly when I meet with alumni, with donors, and even with peers in Philadelphia and so on, that this is a pretty momentous thing for LaSalle. To not have a Christian brother, but even to go one step further and to have a woman. LaSalle was an institution that only started accepting women as students in 1970, and yet now we have over 60% of our students are women. So I've heard from many of our female students who have said, we're really glad that you're here, because as we aspire to leadership, it's wonderful to see someone who is like us in a leadership role. So that part of it has been tremendous. But certainly for LaSalle, I know that this is a key moment in our history, and appreciate being part of that.
And how do you think that transition has been from being at an all-women's college to now being at a co-ed college? Do you think there's a challenge with that at all?
Well, it's an adjustment. It was, if anything, the bigger challenge was going to an all-women's institution. So I had always studied at co-ed institutions and worked in co-ed law. I was a law professor before I was a president, so I was much more familiar with a co-ed environment. So my years at Brescia took some time getting used to, for sure, but now that I'm back in a co-ed environment, it's very familiar. I haven't really seen any significant adjustment there.
That's good. And coming from Brescia, I noticed that you helped raise enrollment there by 60%, which is amazing.
Yes.
And I didn't even know that it was the only all-women's college there, which is even more surprising.
Well, that's a challenge. Higher ed across North America, it's not just in the US, it's in Canada as well. There are real struggles around enrollment generally, and especially for smaller institutions. So I was very fortunate fortunate to have been able to put the right team in place to make changes really in how we approached our market, and to make sure that we continued to be very relevant and attractive to young women who would consider studying there. As the only all-women's college, you're right, that added a layer of complexity, because in Canada, the notion of single-gendered education at the secondary level or at college is far less well accepted than it is here. I mean, the U.S. has a much longer tradition of all girls high schools, all boys high schools, women's colleges, and so on. So it wasn't as easy in many ways to show the value of that we were bringing as an all-women's college.
And coming from that and coming to LaSalle, you know, how are you hoping to institute maybe some of the same things of maybe raising enrollment, or just bringing LaSalle really into the future like you did at Brescia?
Right. So it's funny, when you look at so many of these institutions that have long history with religious communities, so whether it's the Christian Brothers or any other number of men's or women's religious communities, quite often one of the things that they have in common is they've not told their story really well, that they've been more modest, a little more humble about, you know, not bragging and so on. So one of the things that Brescia needed to learn how to do, and I believe it's one of the things that LaSalle needs to learn how to do, is to better tell our story and share with the world the value proposition that we bring. So in the past, you know, keeping this a bit of a best kept secret was seen as a good thing, and it cannot be anymore. It is simply too competitive. There are too many options. There's shrinking base of students to come. We need to let everybody know exactly how strong this school is and shout that from the rooftops.
And I think that's such a great point you bring up, because, you know, LaSalle, most people think, oh, it's a small school in North Philadelphia, but they don't realize the global impact of the LaSallian community, of the greater Christian Brothers. When I had the fortunate opportunity to study abroad this summer, and I met a girl in Spain. I studied abroad in Spain, and she was from the Philippines, but she went to a LaSalle University in the Philippines. And it just really opened my eyes to the global impact that LaSalle has, where we're two different cultures, two different countries, but we share that amazing connection in both being a part of a LaSallian community.
LaSallian communities are the same. I don't believe it matters where you are. I graduated from a LaSallian high school in Toronto, and I can tell you the mission that school expressed to a young teenager is the exact same mission that I'm seeing here expressed. So one of the things that we had to do, and I won't tell you how many years ago it was, Madison, that I was in high school, but one of the things that we had to do was, before we could graduate, we had to complete a community service project of, I think it was 40 hours. I'm trying to remember, this was in the 1980s. Well, now every high school requires community service. Nobody was doing it then. So we got engaged. Some of us went into agencies that were already established and maybe helped at a soup kitchen or helped in something similar. Others of my classmates started new projects that they wanted to try and bring to improve the community. So when I heard about this opportunity at LaSalle, and then started to be reintroduced to a LaSallian mission and a LaSallian campus, it became so familiar to me. Some of the things that LaSalle stands for are the exact same mission and vision elements that I was exposed to when I was 15. So, and
coming from that Christian Brothers background, how do you really plan to embrace that and emphasize those Christian Brother roots here at LaSalle?
Right, so that's the risk when you hire a president who is no longer part of that religious community. The risk becomes one about mission, and how do we ensure that mission continues to be strong? So in my case, one of the first things that I was able to do when I arrived here was appoint a new vice president of mission, and I appointed a Christian brother, Brother Ernest Miller, who is just so steeped in LaSallian tradition, LaSallian excellence, what it means to be a higher education institution in a LaSallian context, what our commitment to justice is. He is someone that will ensure, as a senior member of my team, that the decisions we make continue to align with our mission that is 153 years old.
Yes, and it's quite amazing how long you've been around. But it's
amazing.
And with, you know, keeping to that mission, there are other plans that you have, such I was reading about the strategic program prioritization. Could you just elaborate a little bit on that for us?
So LaSalle, I think, has fallen into a practice that is very, very common in higher education, and that is that our programming, our academic programming, our curriculum programming has expanded in all sorts of new directions over the last 153 years. And many of them are fantastic new directions, but universities that are particularly good at adding programs are not always as good at looking at those programs and seeing if they still make sense 10 years later, 50 years later, and so on. So program prioritization gives us an opportunity to pause, take a snapshot of all of our programs, not even just academic, but operational programs as well, and say, what's working, what isn't working, what needs attention, and how do we address those in a meaningful way. So every single program will be reviewed. On the academic side, these programs will be reviewed and rated and ranked by faculty, who will indicate those programs that are performing very well, that are both mission aligned and financially sustainable, and those programs that might be struggling. And then we will make some decisions and to say, you know, is there opportunities to invest further in some programs? Is there opportunities to combine programs? Are there certain programs that we simply need to eliminate that are no longer seen as relevant for the students that we are trying to attract to LaSalle, or for which there is tremendous competition very nearby? I don't know if you knew this, but there are 280, if I've got that number right, four-year colleges within a 2-hour drive of LaSalle.
Wow.
So very, very congested market. We need to make sure that we identify what are our spires of excellence academically, invest in those, and make sure we're known for those.
And how long would that process take? Is there really a timeline to it?
There is, and the process started in late summer, and it will be done by the summer. So it's a year.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a year to do all of that. A lot of work.
Some more changes coming up
for
LaSalle.
There's more change coming for LaSalle, no doubt about it.
I feel like there's been so many positive things about LaSalle this year, with Cardinal Tagle coming.
Yes.
I mean, with
the Mayor's
International Forum, that was a big thing to come to LaSalle.
Yes.
I feel like we're really coming into that global scale where people are like, LaSalle University, like they're doing things, like we're on the map.
Totally, Madison. That is exactly what is happening right now. We have just embarked on a full branding process. We are looking at some pretty significant changes on campus to some of our buildings. There are some very exciting things that are just around the corner. So LaSalle is heading into a renaissance, a reimagination of this campus, not only internally, but also externally, where we fit on that external map, if you will. So it's a very, very exciting time to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what the future holds for LaSalle. It seems very bright.
It is very bright indeed.
And, you know, when you come to the end of your time here at LaSalle, and hopefully it's far, far from now.
Right, hopefully.
Hopefully, you know, what are you hoping to have accomplished here?
My perfect idea of LaSalle would be a school that was well known for what it does in this community, a school that continues to graduate students who go on to achieve great personal success, great professional success, and who make a difference in the community, who bring our world closer to a balance of justice through their own leadership. So what that means is a school that is firmly mission aligned, that knows who it is and makes sure that it sticks to that mission and differentiates that mission from other schools, and a school that is financially sustainable. So to me, we're going to get there. It's going to take a little bit of work for sure and a bit of time, but if at the end of my time at LaSalle, I can look at that and see what's been accomplished by everyone here, I will feel very satisfied.
All right, well, I'm looking forward to the future. It sounds like there are a lot of great things coming to LaSalle now.
It'll be great. It will be.
So, Dr. Hanycz, thank you so much for sitting down with us.
Thank you
so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be here. For LTV News, I'm Madison Elliott. Send it back to the studio.
Thank you.